Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped. Something.
I wasn't expecting that
either. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny. I haven't seen that before.
It feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things. Of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
Okay, that was a minute.
Okay.
Do you have any parts that you'd like to get to know better or change your relationship with?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like last time we worked with the anxious part a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And a sad part kind of kept coming in.
Right.
There was some other things going on, but I definitely remember those two being more present.
Uh-huh.
And then at the end of the session, I was also kind of realized that there was maybe a part that I hadn't identified the whole session that I was maybe a little bit blended with, just because I was feeling kind of small or this shrinking feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess I'm curious about that and noticing when that comes up, and there's been a few other times where I really noticed that feeling of wanting to kind of disappear. So yeah, I guess that's a part that I'm interested in getting some space from and looking at.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. And can you locate it now? Can you find where it is in your body or how it shows up?
Yeah, I think it's a feeling of wanting to burrow under the ground or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and definitely shows up maybe physically of kind of more of a collapsing, just around my shoulders. So yeah, I guess I feel it in my back, and just kind of an energy pulling me down or towards the ground, but not in a grounding way.
Right.
More of my upper body's being kind of pulled down.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as you're noticing it there, how do you feel towards it?
I don't know. That feels a lot harder. I think there is a part of me that like is compassionate towards it, but then I also feel like there's like kind of an overwhelming feeling, and there's that anxious part, like that's related or coming in at the same time, and also maybe like a part of me that's a bit annoyed about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see if you can get them all to notice you. And you can just check if any of them have any objections or anything more that they want to say or need from you in order to let you go and meet that small shrinking feeling part.
I think the other thing I have coming up, I'm maybe trying to tap into that feeling more, is like it feels maybe like associated with like also like a burning feeling, kind of like in my stomach, or like I guess I've been thinking a lot about shame too recently, and I think this is like the same part. So I just want to name that too. I'm trying to like get clarity on like what this part is, like distinct from the anxious part or the sad part, or so I guess that's another thing.
Okay, another feeling that it evokes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm having I guess I'm still having a hard time like putting some distance between that feeling and self.
Yeah. Well, how about the anxious or annoyed parts? Did they acknowledge you? Did you acknowledge them? Do they have any more concerns or anything that they want to share about you doing this work?
I think like the anxious part feels like kind of braided together or something with this like shrinking part, like so I think it feels like a little bit I guess concerned, like if this part gets like tinkered with, like what will happen to it, because it's kind of connected. And yeah.
Okay.
I don't think the annoyed part cares at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. How would you feel about talking more with that anxious part?
Yeah.
About its concern?
Yeah.
How do you feel towards the anxious one?
Just like kind of like I think because we focused on that last session, I guess I feel like some more recent like compassion towards the anxious part, or like just like like I see that you're working really hard type of feeling. And then also like there's still a part of me that's like, okay, like it's a lot though. Like so maybe
it's saying the anxiety is too much.
Yeah, like I think I'm just a little bit like, I don't know if like exasperated is too dramatic, but it's kind of like that feeling of like a little tired here.
Yeah. Is it tired of the anxiety coming up?
Yeah, I think I'm feeling
Okay.
Yeah.
So let the one who's tired about the anxiety, just let it know that you see it. That makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
And you could ask it if it needs anything from you to let you to just continue going to whatever parts are calling for your attention.
Yeah, it's like asking me to like stop being so messy, basically. Like it's like kind of asking for like efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
I think so. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm trying to frame that in like because I'm still kind of like speaking to it a bit like, okay, what does that mean though? And then I guess I'm getting a sense of like, yeah, just like I think it's revealing to me like the way I get in the way of myself, right? And
Parts
so
get in the way of self.
Yeah. So I think this tired part is like, could we, you know, step out of the way, or could parts step out of the way a little bit more? I don't know exactly how to phrase it, but yeah, that's the request.
When it says not to be messy and to be efficient, is it talking about being efficient in IFS?
Yeah, I think it's like, okay, like it's kind of saying like for today, like you're gonna go talk to this like shrinking part, and like could we just not be messy about it, you know? Like yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
Makes sense to me too.
Okay. Yeah.
And I just want to let it know from me that I'm also, keen on being efficient. I think that this process is maybe the most efficient that there ever was. And so I'll also look out for that.
Okay.
And that it's totally normal to have parts that, there's this part that's got this certain feeling, and it's saying, okay, go to it, go fix it. But we're always going to run into other parts. And so I find the most efficient way is to acknowledge them, just like we're acknowledging it right now. How does it respond to that?
Yeah, it likes that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. So yeah.
Yeah. I have one other question for it. Which is about, it said, stop being so messy.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if it kind of feels like internally it's messy, like not just this work, but that's kind of who you are, or that your system is particularly messy.
Yeah, I think that might be true. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel towards it when it says that that's true or might be true?
I don't know. I guess like maybe the attitude shifted towards it a little bit, like maybe how I would feel towards like critic a little bit. Like I'm kind of like, maybe there's like I want to take it with a grain of salt, I guess.
Oh, you mean like, yeah, you have the attitude of like, don't just believe what this part is saying?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I can see what it's saying, and maybe the sad part's also here to be like, okay, wow, we really have that belief sometimes, that like.
Yeah, well, a part has that belief, or parts do.
Yeah.
Okay. You just let the sad part know that you see it, welcome it. And it's also normal to feel like, for parts to feel like we're messy.
Yeah.
I personally think it's kind of something to celebrate. I mean, we're complex. What's coming up for you now?
Yeah, maybe just like a little bit. It happened last time too, but I feel like I can kind of like just get distracted, so I just space out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Did it feel like the distraction came up as a response to the sad part?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, like I think it got like, yeah, I think the sad part was more present, but then I was just like maybe like it's like, okay, here's the part, and then how I feel about the part, and then I feel about that part, and so it was just like kind of a lot. I was like, so are all these feelings parts? I was like, and then I just kind of dissociated.
Yeah. Okay, well, distracted parts are also welcome.
Okay.
And that also makes total sense.
Okay.
You're right, we've named 6, 7 parts, maybe.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah. And so it makes sense. And then the sadness comes up, and that's, a feeling that you probably don't want to be feeling. And then it's just some distraction can come up and say, all right, checking out.
Yeah.
So for any parts that think this is too messy, or that there's too many parts, I just want to let them know that I get it. I think that's super common to feel. I was going to say in the beginning, but maybe always. I mean, there's so many parts, and and they're always there, and they're kind of always going. So I just want to also let you know that so far I've listed all the parts that I've heard, and I feel like I have a pretty clear, like I've got them numbered here on my notepad, and it doesn't feel like too much to me. It feels normal, and like they're all welcome, and they're all parts that we can get to know, and it would be good to get to know.
Yeah, I think the like more dissociated or spacey like part, or just like, yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of related to ADHD, but just kind of like just this inattentive type of ADHD, like it just comes in. I think it also happens in my life when like I don't like know like what the direction is. So I can be like really aware of like all the things going on, or I can kind of like, especially emotionally, like I can name like how I'm feeling, and I can like feel how other people are feeling. And it's like there's a lot of awareness emotionally, but then it's like kind of this like aimless feeling, or like I don't know what to do with that or how to move. Like, so yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a really, I think that's a gift. I think it's a great place to be. You do have this awareness of all these feelings, and you don't have a strong direction in that, we have to get rid of this one, and this one's good and this one's bad. And so, I would just kind of invite you to lean into that a little, and acknowledge that, and really welcome it.
Yeah.
Like, I also don't have a real clear direction here.
Yeah. I think that's what my dissociating part like wants a little bit. It's like maybe that's something that like as I'm kind of leaning into it and like what it needs, like I feel like I don't know. Sometimes I think
It
that's
needs
kind
a plan.
it needs like a little bit of structure. It needs like what I'm allowed to focus on. Like, because I have a hard time switching my focus from one thing to the next thing.
Yep.
So it's kind of like when I can give it a little bit of a path or a little bit of an intention, even like that, even as loose as just an intention, then it feels like easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That all makes sense to me. Would it be helpful to you or to that part for me to kind of explain some of how I would see a structure of this conversation, how it might go?
Yeah.
Like where we are and where we might go.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the beginning of any conversation, I'm doing what I'll call targeting. And so, and you're right, it is just like picking a part and going to it. And you showed up and you said, here's the part I want to go to. And then and we've met 6 others. And so we're in that kind of first phase of how these conversations usually go, which is, and this is also how they usually go, where, people show up and they got a part they want to go to. And usually there are several others who have something to say about that. And so, we just kind of spend some time letting that happen, letting those other parts show up, so that even if we don't continue a conversation right now with any one of them, we at least kind of know who's present. So, yeah, it is kind of, it is like that in the beginning of conversations, that we're just kind of feeling around in the room of who all's in here with us.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we still have the goal of targeting. So usually around now, once I have a list of parts, concerned about direction part, distracted part, sad part, maybe a critic in there somewhere, one that has anxiety, one who says that the anxiety is too much, and then the very first part you showed up with. You can let them know that we've now seen them all, that they are welcome, and you can invite them to notice you. You can ask which one at this moment needs your attention the most.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Did it feel like they were able to notice you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And do they actually feel welcome? Because I know that's a lot easier to say than it is to do sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's sort of the tired part. I think like because there's a heavy feeling too, like yeah, maybe like I think there's a part, maybe I haven't named it or something, that's like I don't know what the name of it would be, but like is more like kind of pushy or kind of like
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, like, what are we doing now? like
Yeah.
pushy part. And the same part that's pushing is like, okay, we know that we want to like work with this like shame part, and we've been doing so much work, and we want to use this method on this work. And it's like that part is like, yeah, just really like clear about what it wants. And then the heavy part is kind of like, okay, but like, what's it gonna be? Like, you know, just still like, I think needing like more of that reassurance that like, this isn't, yeah, like gonna be as efficient as it can, or like that I'm not gonna, not maybe me, but the parts aren't gonna like stir up more to process later. Like, just kind of this like, maybe I'm trying to work with like the consensus of the group to be like, yeah, no, we're not creating another mess right now. Like, we're not going to be doing that. We're just going to like smooth things out, kind of. Like, I'm trying to explain to the group almost like what the overall intention is, like more from that like self place.
Yeah.
So it's like trying to tell them, yeah, what I mean, what I intend to do.
Yeah. And what do you intend to do?
Well, I feel like it's like, I feel like sometimes I like work with kids, and I guess I feel like it's like, hey, y'all, like, we're not causing any more drama right now. Like, we need to talk this out, you know, like that kind of like, just like, no, we're having a conversation so like everyone's needs can get met, like not so like one person can get in trouble or something like that. It's like, yeah, I'm just trying to show them that that's the intention that I have. And I think that was hard to place for a while, like that I wouldn't like take sides. Maybe they all think I'm gonna like take sides,
which is very normal because that's kind of what they're used to. That's how they're used to operating.
Yeah,
they kind of take your attention and they say, no, we're doing it this way, and then and then we get kind of pulled along by different parts. And yeah, you're exactly right. This is saying, okay, how about instead of that, how about I listen and just listen and kind of make more of an intentional decision about who to attend to. Yeah. And about that part that you very first mentioned wanting to go to, it sounded like it could likely be an exile part to me.
Okay.
And so that would also, it would make sense to me that several protective parts would have something to say about going to an exile.
Yeah.
And they all might also be saying, well, yeah, but that's where we need to go. That's where, like, maybe they've recognized that that's where some underlying burdens are. And they could be right.
I think that there are a lot of ways like that certain parts like, yeah, do come out around those feelings. So it's kind of like, maybe I'm like a little bit going backwards or something, but I feel like the reason I need that part to work with is like, when I feel that way, that's when I like behave in ways that I don't necessarily want to be behaving in.
Right.
So maybe I like get snappy with someone, or like defensive, or maybe I like shut down and I can't talk. I can't work through something, and I like leave, or I, you know, hurt someone because I withdraw. So I think that, yeah, maybe I see that as like a source of other behaviors, but it's interesting to like frame it like, oh yeah, because protectors are popping up.
Right. And the protectors are those other behaviors. The
Yeah.
defensiveness, the shutting down.
Yeah.
That's their way of dealing with that exiled feeling. And yeah, I think that, again, I said earlier about like, I don't have a direction.
Yeah.
But actually, yes, I do want to get to that exile. And also that we typically do need to, and it's good to hear from all these protectors before just diving in.
Yeah. Yeah. This makes sense.
How are they all feeling? Has it settled a little?
Yeah, I think I'm more so able to like pick up on like differing opinions, maybe like like between different protectors, but I do feel like because I'm like I think pretty anchored right now in self, then like maybe more than I was at the beginning of the conversation, I think that the energy does feel like it's calmed down. So there still might be like, yeah, a polarity in the parts, but I'm not in between it as much. So, yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, thanks to all of them. Is there one that feels like it needs your attention the most?
I don't know. Sometimes when you ask me to pick one, the dissociating part is just like blocking me. Yeah, because I just came up
Does it have
empty.
a concern?
I don't know.
Okay. It's fine to come up empty also.
Yeah, it's so common for me, I think, to kind of, space out. So I don't know.
I'm feeling very curious about the space out dissociating part.
Yeah.
Would it be okay with us getting to know it a little bit?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So you're aware of it, how it shows up when it does?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever like kind of personified it like this. Especially because the feeling is kind of like nothing or just like not being able to do other things.
Right.
So it feels like the emptiness hasn't really allowed me to like look at it and be like, oh, you are a character in this.
Yeah.
So that's like a new feeling, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be a tricky one to get our arms around, but sometimes those are the most important ones, because if they're coming in and they're taking you out and they're taking you away from that anchored feeling, then we should learn about them and see how we can address their concerns or work with them.
I think this part like holds a lot of like, or maybe comes from certain thought patterns. So like I don't know, and then this part comes in, or like if I'm a little bit unsure or I don't know how to make a choice, like it comes up a lot around choices. So like a sense of like self-doubt, and then this part is like takes over.
Okay, so self-doubt and then check out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so can you run that by it? Ask the part if it has concerns about whenever you're feeling unsure.
Yeah. It I don't think it's not like only that it has. I wonder if it's only that it's concerned. Like that almost doesn't feel intense enough.
Ask it what it wants you to know. Ask it anything it wants to tell you about itself.
I
Let it
think
know that it's welcome.
Okay. Yeah, I think that it sort of does have a function where it's like asking me to pause. Like, yeah, it wants me to pause. It's afraid that I'll be, stuck. It's afraid something bad will happen. It's afraid it's related to maybe also to like some perfectionism. So like, it's afraid I'll mess up. Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Yeah, let it know that. And you could ask it, what would be so bad about that? What would happen if you were unsure?
I don't know. It's like, yeah, I guess I just laugh because it's like, what? You have to be sure.
Yeah, what's the bad thing that will happen?
I don't know. I do not know.
Okay. Well, I just want it to know from me that I believe it. I believe that it does have those concerns, and I believe that those are valid.
I think I think this part wants to be able to focus on like whatever it wants or not focus. Maybe it wants to be able to not focus on whatever it wants. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of like, oh my gosh, this is so just, interesting, like related to neurodivergence and like having a lot of different like interests. And I think it's like definitely concerned that if I like make an intense choice that I will like trap myself from thinking about other things, doing other things, like being able to, be expansive in that way. So it's like a interesting, like a mental like catch or something to just like keep me, but then also keeps me from not doing things I want to do. So
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just let them know that you get that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was concerned about you making a choice.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's kind of like the parts that were concerned about you taking sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you pick with this part, then that means you're not picking all those other parts and might be doing it wrong.
Yeah, and this too like can be related to just sort of like a paralysis that I feel a lot of times. I don't know if that's a separate part, but yeah.
Too many choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, and so this part shows up, kind of hits the reset button.
Yeah.
And keeps you from getting sucked into one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the annoyed part is here. It's seeing all this and it's just like, oh, this is so annoying.
So annoying, so messy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a beautiful mess. It's a system that works, and it's a system like we all have that it works because of these dynamic tensions.
Mm.
You know, it keeps one part from taking over by having 100 parts that compete. Yeah.
Yeah. The sad part is also here.
Hey, sad part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear from that one?
No, I know what it's saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel towards it?
I think pretty neutral. Just like wanted to name that it was here.
Okay.
Yeah. Like it kind of
Okay.
all the parts that I talked about earlier like make sense. Like I understand their orientations
Yeah.
toward the like dissociating part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And they're all welcome. Can invite them to notice you again. Make sure the sad part notices you.
Mm-hmm.
The annoyed part. Just let them know that you have space and time to meet with all of them.
Yeah, I think they're not actually trying to get in the way of me talking to the dissociated part. I think they're just like maybe responding, and I don't think they need too much attention. They just like, yeah, did kind of come a little closer maybe to see what's happening.
Yeah. You're
in
right
this
with that?
conversation. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It is a lot like a room full of kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You turn to one, and then the others kind of gravitate that way.
Yeah.
Or one of them throws a tantrum about you doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I know I'm not saying any of yours are tantruming, but it happens.
Yeah.
It happens. Yeah.
Yeah. The intensity of like, you have to listen to me and they'll do whatever it takes.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in this practice, we're showing them how eager we are to listen to them,
Mm-hmm.
and that they actually don't have to scream for our attention, because we want to see them, we want to welcome them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that they're just like encouraging me to in some ways I feel like maybe I have everyone on board. I don't know what it is, but just like yeah, like to understand like what I need to know like from the dissociating part. And I guess like that messaging around like that I need to know or be sure about what I'm doing. And just like, yeah, I guess I'm trying to negotiate a little bit with the dissociating part and
Yeah.
kind of be like, well, what if I didn't know? Like, can we acknowledge that I don't know and still explore something and maybe like I can make a sort of agreement or promise to the dissociating part that I'm gonna still make choices that will like keep me free to explore other things and that I won't be afraid to like change course if I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. That feels good.
Good. Yeah. And you can also just show the dissociating part appreciation for its concern about all of that.
Yeah.
You could also ask it how old it thinks you are.
Oof. Yeah, baby tiny.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so just update it on your real age.
Okay. I feel really content.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel really like assured of like my autonomy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And is that in partnership with the dissociating part? Like, does it also have some reassurance?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You could ask it what it needs from you in the future.
Mm. Yeah, I think it does want to be seen and acknowledged as a part, even though it's kind of this like nothingness.
Mm-hmm.
And just it appreciates that.
Yeah. You could
I was
ask
like,
it,
yeah.
how it wants to be seen, if it wants to take on some identity, or if it has a name or a outfit or anything.
Yeah, it just reminds me of the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I guess I feel like it wants a type of like, yeah, agreement with me that I will like just include it in my calculations, when I'm like trying to make a choice like for this group of parts, that I'll like include
Mm-hmm.
it in that. Yeah.
How's that sound to you?
Good. Yeah.
How about those parts that were concerned about doing this in an efficient way? Does it feel
They
right?
feel pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're like pleasantly surprised.
Right. Yeah. Me too. I'm always pleasantly surprised. Yeah, because we go in without a direction,
Okay.
and we go in with trying to access self-energy, which doesn't have much of an agenda other than to listen and to understand parts. And here you've met a part that you were unaware that it happens, but as a part, what it needs, what it thinks of you, it wasn't part of the calculation before.
Yeah, I think like to be able to be a little efficient without having an agenda feels really like counter to
Yeah.
just what I've been taught. And I think that like, yeah, so I'm just feeling like a bit emotional, or like, yeah, I think the sad part is just like, oh wow, there's just been a lot of pushing against like just being present with myself to try to like achieve certain things or whatever. So yeah, just the irony being like, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And it's everybody's got parts, and their parts want to see you busy too. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
it's important to other people's parts that you play the same game that they're playing. So yeah, you're not taught this. I wasn't taught this. Our parents weren't taught it. Our schools aren't teaching it.
Yeah.
And it is sad. And it
Yeah.
is sad. But here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just like hearing thank you and wanting to share that to you, but also to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thanks to all those parts.
Yeah.
Well, just circling back to that first part,
Yeah.
small shrinking one.
Yeah.
Can you let it know that we haven't forgotten about it?
Yeah.
And that you can keep it on your list. It can be
Okay.
something that you intend to go to.
Yeah.
And the process might look like this.
Yeah.
You know, we got to figure out all the cards in the deck, or at least the relevant ones.
Yeah.
It's about, and that is about efficiency ultimately. It's also about safety.
Yeah.
It's about, one of the very first parts said, oh, we're going to go and tinker with this. And it had a concern about, tinkering. Because, it's a delicate ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
So just let it know that we won't forget about it.
That sounds good.
Are there any other parts that have any other concerns or requests of you? For maybe how you stay in touch with them going forward, or questions for me?
No, I don't think so. I feel like I just made a little bit of a deal with the pushing part. I was like, yeah, we're not gonna do that. And it's like, okay, it respects that. So that came up, but I don't think anything else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'd love to be a part of that. If you want to keep working with me, I'll send you some more links and we can meet them all.
Okay. That sounds good.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions, final comments, anything?
I don't think so. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Have a good night.
You too. Thanks.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Yvonne, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows? That might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube. And they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.